Hi there, this is Danger Canadian Content Productions. We're live in Factory Girl on the Danforth, and this evening we have Lucas and Laura from Volur.
Hello.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Amongst many other bands, we'll get to that shortly. We'll definitely get to that shortly. But I think let's start with seeing you guys in the Garrison. That was the night the Biblical played.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I've seen Laura before. I'd never seen you guys together. Never seen you guys together like that. So it was a bit of a full-on assault.
That's what we want.
That's what we have.
But it was. I mean in a positive way. I don't mean that negatively at all. You know, I mean it was just wow. I mean, it was. We got some shots out of that. I think we shared some of those as well. That came out of that. That was really good. But you're back in the Garrison. I'm going to mention you're back in the Garrison again on Saturday. This coming Saturday.
Yes.
But it's as a I suppose, how would you describe your music to me? Because I'm describing lots of different ways, but you describe how you see your music.
Go ahead.
Doom metal is what we use, like when people ask what kind of music that we play, but there's all kinds of influences from like free jazz to black metal to death metal to a lot of classical music to folk music. So we say doom is the easy way out, but it's everything that we want it to be. Like
Right.
I think it portrays a lot of our influences.
Yeah. I think doom can be pretty malleable, especially since there's just so much space. You know what I mean? If the main kind of focus of doom is kind of like atmosphere, tempo, and tension, it doesn't need to necessarily move in these kind of melodic and or harmonic directions or timbral directions that usually like hem in a genre of music. So I find when I'm thinking of something in a doom piece, it's like it can move in different directions but still remain atmospheric, still remain slow, still remain metal or whatever you want to call it, but you can bring in different timbres, you can bring in different harmonies.
Yeah, it's. I have to say, it's incredibly powerful. All right, I mean that's one of the things that comes across right from the get go. You know, when you guys are playing. In fact, it's one of those things where it doesn't happen often, but it does happen, where we just forget to take pictures for about the first 3 or 4 songs, and then go, oh shit. We haven't taken any pictures in the first 3 or 4 songs. We just have to move on from there. Yeah. And it's that tight. There is an immense power in terms of what comes out and what comes across with that. But you're right. If doom is the easy way out, that's a really good way of looking at it, because there is so much more to it than that. And I noticed as well, a lot of it's based around sort of Norse legend as well. Yeah. So it really does take an awful lot of different influences into what you're doing, and that's quite, well, it's not quite, it's incredibly impressive.
Oh, thank you.
Well, we put after the gig, we saw you at so one of the trades that we do is if we see you, then and you're in we do score every gig as well, just because there's never enough that you have to do. So we score, but what we do then is we then take music off Spotify and then put that into a playlist and then share that with our audience as well.
Wonderful.
So two of your tracks were out there. Two of your tracks were out there for that as well. And again, we get to the Garrison Saturday, we'll be doing exactly the same from that point of view. But Volur isn't all of that you do, is it? This is the thing. It's a big part, and we'll come back to that in a second. But you're with Blood Ceremony.
That's correct. Yes.
You are, and you're playing Public Animal, Lydia Ainsworth last week.
Freelancing. I also play in an old-time jazz band called the Boxcar Boys.
Right. Okay.
And I do.
We play in a group called Gates together, which is like an experimental drone prog free jazz band kind of thing.
Wow, that's but there's and the beauty of that then is there's got to be some, as you said earlier on, there's some morphing of that music across into what you're doing at Volur as well. So that's that really is quite amazing. But I suppose one thing is, where do you find the time to do all this?
Squeeze it out, just make it happen.
Time management's the eternal struggle.
Is that would have to be that way though, wouldn't it? Because you're say from freelance point of view, you're working with Lydia. The Young Dundas piece with Lydia Ainsworth Friday was remarkable. We don't say that lightly. but then you've got to find time to do other things too.
Yeah.
It's not just a question of playing, is it? And this is what I think. You've got rehearsal time, you've got writing time,
Booking
you've
gigs,
got
yeah.
booking gigs, you've got performing gigs, and God forbid you actually want to get to a gig and get back. You know. You know, it really is. It's absolutely everything. It's a full-on commitment, isn't it?
The challenge is not to burn out.
Yeah.
It's, you know.
And, okay, so how do you not burn out? That's because we've seen loads and loads of bands who've gone at this, and you know, I worked in a different environment in the UK for a long time, and I can tell you honestly, there were times when doing a gig, I was a DJ in the UK, doing a gig was painful. I would turn up resentful.
Yeah,
I would turn up unmotivated.
Yeah.
You know, and you get up there and you go, oh God, I've got to do this again, and we've gone well into the burnout stage at that point. How do you manage that?
Part of it's like managing creative energy. So like Volur, working with Lucas is my creative output, and then otherwise, like if I'm a hired gun on a gig, I get the bottom details that I need to be there.
Right.
Otherwise, like making time, I work out at the gym. Lucas works out in the gym of life, doing his work. And I think, like, I would say, I was thinking, like, bands are like, I always think of them as like, it's like a volatile creature that you have with your buddies, and you have to keep it alive. And it's about learning who's better at what task and sharing duties.
I think it's
that makes a lot of sense.
I also find it's really important to like check in a lot of the time, and with that I mean like I try to remember what I felt like when I was 14, and I was like, man, the coolest thing in the world would be to like go to a bar and play music. You know what I mean? Wouldn't that be the coolest thing you could ever do? And I have to like step back, when I'm like, if I'm ever setting up at a gig and I'm like, God, I don't want to be here, this is so stupid, I have to step back and I have to check in, and I get to go, I get to do this. A lot of the times I get paid to do this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what more could I ask for? I built my whole life around wanting to play music, and now I'm getting to play music, so I should try to be grateful or appreciative of this moment.
Well, a brilliant philosophy, and one that, as you say, if you just take that step back, people get put. But that's I'll be honest, that's a brilliant way of doing it. But then you've got to find time as well to record, and you recorded Ancestors last year.
Yep.
So now you've got
actually we recorded it over the course of a year from like 2016 to the beginning of 2017.
We did 2 tracks initially.
Yeah,
and
we
then
did 2 tracks, and then another 3 tracks, and then the string overdubs. So it was a labor of love. It took a while.
But then you were also going to take that on the road as well. So we move into the sort of the gig part of it. I mean, we mentioned that you're playing back in the Garrison a couple of times. So I think you said earlier on as well, you're also going to take it into the States as well.
Yeah.
So is that what time frame have you got planned for that?
So Prophecy Productions is our label. They're based out of Germany. They just moved into, or they're kind of making a push into the United States. The CEO or whatever his title is, moved to Los Angeles. So they're moving ahead with inroads into the States and North America. And they're having Prophecy Fest USA on November 2nd and 3rd of this year.
Yeah.
And they do a Prophecy Fest in Germany, which we got to play in 2016.
Inside a giant natural cave.
Yeah, the largest cave, the Balverhöhle in the Sauerland in Germany.
Right.
And it's the largest natural cave in maybe Western Europe or all of Europe. I can't remember which one. But it is one of the larger caves, and it was fantastic. And then this one's going to be at the Knitting Factory, which is not quite as impressive.
Knitting Factory
in Brooklyn, New York.
In Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And it's the whole festival is going to be in Brooklyn.
It's a 2-day festival with some bands that are on Prophecy and a couple of bands that are not. I think KO Dot and I can't remember who else are not on Prophecy, but Hastur or Zastur are going to be there, the black metal band, and Alcest are going to be there, and we are going to be there as well.
Sweet. No, that's
and then we're going to announce some dates leading up to it.
Right.
about a week and a half worth of dates before that in the States.
So you're going to work your way to Brooklyn and then work your way back the other way.
Yeah.
Something like that. Anyway. Yeah. Well, that makes an awful lot of sense. Does make an awful lot of sense. In terms of, as I say, you've got the album that you've got Ancestors out at the moment. I think you have one album out before that. So you've got a lot. You've got a lot of material to work with as well, haven't you? From that point of view. But you've also got to balance this with Blood Ceremony work and your own individual work as well, Laura. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you say, time management is king, isn't it?
Yeah. We both do. I mean, Laura does a lot of musician side work. I do some side work as a musician and play in other bands as well.
Yeah.
On top of that, weddings and parties and whatnot.
Yeah.
And
as a DJ, we used to say weddings, bar mitzvahs, and christenings, and everything else in between. So that was almost the way that it worked, to be perfectly honest. So you must spend You're spending a lot of time working, particularly with coming up, because Blood Ceremony got UK tour coming out, so you'll see that. So you see that as well.
Yeah, January 2019.
January 2019. Well, we're linked to a UK site as well, so we will push. We'll push on two pieces on this to work with that as well. So we'll definitely get through that. I just working through here. I mean, we think we covered the gigs, perhaps a couple of your tours coming up. Laura, have you got anything else coming up as well from gig-wise, apart from what you're seeing, or is it literally just turn up?
Focusing towards with Volur at this point.
Yeah.
The Boxcar Boys, my old-time jazz band, we are playing at the Ashkenaz Festival.
Right. Okay.
Which is the first weekend of September.
Okay.
It's a great fest.
So that should be really enjoyable.
You're just putting dates in my diary. You realise this, don't you? We got challenged last year to actually. We were in. We stayed in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But we actually ended up going to downtown Manhattan. Yeah. For a gig, and we ended up seeing Rural Alberta Advantage and Yukon Blonde there.
Oh, cool.
Who was selling out the Danforth here.
Yeah.
But there's about 150 people in the room. It was absolutely brilliant.
Oh, I can mention, there is a date to mention. On September 15th, I'm playing with a new band called Iomare, which is Dylan Gowan. He's Larry Gowan's son, but he's an extraordinary drummer who I think is defining himself as a musician.
Okay.
So I agreed to play these crazy parts that I played on that record.
And whereabouts is the gig?
That is also at the Garrison. I'm just playing at the Garrison all the time now.
Leave your stuff there.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, we're going to take ourselves into. Thank you very much indeed for that. We're going to go shortly into the speed round of Doom.
Great.
Now, the changes in the speed round is there are a series of questions, A, B, C, and D, and you get to pick one set of questions. You can get to answer them separately. You don't have to answer them together necessarily. Okay. But so we have A, B, C, or D as choices. Which letter would you like to choose?
Okay.
Any letter in particular?
D for Doom.
D for Doom.
Yeah.
B for
How funny. Right. So okay. We're gonna go D for Doom. This is imaginary superpowers.
Okay.
Okay. So which of the following would you choose? Power belching. Which is an interesting one. Okay, and you can just run that through in your own mind for a second there. Yeah. You could have a helium voice, which is just. I've seen people drinking the helium beer stuff on YouTube. Not that I'd ever want to do that.
Yeah.
Actually, I would want to. I've drunk helium in the past at a party. That's just not a good thing. And food taste change. So that any food that you absolutely hated could taste like something else.
Okay.
So which one of those would you choose?
With the belching, can I flatten buildings and push unwanted?
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah,
I'm gonna go with that.
All right.
Yep.
You know what? My mom bought me a thing of a beet green plant. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like just small little beets that are supposed to grow the greens, and she was like, they don't taste very good. And I ate 2 of the leaves, and I can still taste them like 3 hours later. So bad. So I'm gonna go with.
You're gonna go with a food taste.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So Maple Leafs or Blue Jays?
Blue Jays.
Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Leafs. Okay. Now, given we were talking about being on the road, this might be quite fun. Route 66 or Trans-Canada Highway?
Never been on either. No, I've been on the Trans-Canada Highway. What am I talking about?
Trans-Canada.
Trans-Canada.
Trans-Canada? Yeah, I'm glad you said that because that's where I'll be going. And ironically, as we for the last one, as we're talking about the doom side, beer, hoppy or the dark side? So the dark side is anything that is oatmeal, stout, porters, that kind
Where
of
do
way.
the sours and the Bretts fall in?
They don't at the moment. You can pick whatever you want.
Okay.
You want to go for sours?
Yeah.
You go sours.
Yeah, I'm more in terms of like the German styles or the English style ales.
Yep.
I'm not crazy about the hoppy stuff right now.
No, okay,
Yeah.
fine. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, that works beautifully. Well, that's superb. Thank you both very much indeed for your time. Just want to thank you both there. We have details of all of your sites will be in the credits as they pass through. I want to thank George and Factory Girl for their accommodation here. Full details of Factory Girl will be here as well. Thanks to Yeston for filming. Subscribe to the YouTube link. Until next time, thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.